Hey everybody, it's First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Penn. I just want to do a quick little update tonight as we get ready for some strong storms possibly in the Carolinas tomorrow. I'm probably going to do a vlog on Saturday as well, so tomorrow morning at some point before, in between cheerleading and basketball with the kiddos, I will do an update on what's going to happen with the weather. But let me show you what's happening tonight and talk a little bit about the timing, anything that could be changing in the next 24 hours. Let's go right to the radar here across the middle of the country. You can see what's going on. We've got a pretty significant storm system here producing a lot of severe weather tonight in areas like Missouri down to Arkansas. Eastern Oklahoma starting to get cleared out, but still some flooding going on now. Texas. Now this is going to be pushing to the east throughout the overnight hours. And really won't get here in the Carolinas until probably 24 hours from right now when I'm recording this. There is a lot of mess out ahead of it. This is all just regular rain, and we're starting to see some of that upslope develop tonight. So it could be a pretty wet night and wet day tomorrow across the foothills where you get that south and southeast wind, which ramps up right into the mountains, and that will set the stage for probably some flooding potential there, but I don't think it's going to be that widespread of an issue outside of the mountains and the foothills. Let me show you the severe weather outlook if you missed it earlier. I posted a little update on it. Here's where it is right now tonight. It'll be shifting to the east tomorrow, and you can see how the bullseye for this is really across Dixie Alley here, parts of Alabama, Mississippi, western Georgia. So if you have friends or family down in there, make sure they're very weather aware. Make sure they have charged up phones and multiple ways to get warnings. You just can't rely on one, folks. If you have friends down there, and I'm not talking about the Carolinas, but with this event, but there will be an event in the future where I'll tell you the same thing. Tell them to make sure they have more than one way to get warnings, because you really need it. Now, in our area, you can see Saturday we're in that low risk. The entire state of North and South Carolina is under a low risk for severe storms, and that threat will shift to the east as we go into Sunday. So let me show you the timing of this. I'm going to use all short-range rapid refresh models, so models that are updating every hour to give you the absolute latest. So you can see overnight, just scattered showers. Notice everything's ramping up into the foothills there. I'm going to stop at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is where we see just scattered showers. Nothing severe here. It will be very warm and muggy. Temperatures maybe in the low 70s. Now watch what happens as we get to 8 o'clock. We start to see the makings of a line of storms heading into western North Carolina. It's going to take a while to get here. I think it gets here more closer to 10 o'clock, and I'll stop it right here. And you see that line of nasty storms. That's going to be pushing to the east with gusty winds. Now, what we're going to watch for in this line is if it's a straight line, what I mean by that is just a squall line, that would be an indication of strong straight line winds. But if the line becomes squiggly like this, that means you have wind pushing out here and some wind pushing in there, and that induces spin. Everywhere we have one of those little kinks in the line. As it pushes east by 11:30, it's right over the I-77 corridor. As we go towards the overnight hours, it begins to shift east, and by 3 a.m., it's in central and eastern North Carolina, where there could be severe weather into the wee hours of Sunday morning. I've been showing the thunderstorm fuel, which over the last couple of runs of the models have actually increased over the Carolinas. Initially was all over South Carolina. Now we're starting to see low end. This is really not off the charts. If this was spring or summer, this would just be a typical day. But in the wintertime, when you have such dynamic wind energy, it only takes a little bit of this thunderstorm fuel, or what we call CAPE, to cause issues. And you can see it peaks right along that line, pushing to the east. Now, a parameter, and this isn't to scare people, but this is a parameter that I look at for tornado parameters or potential. Now, this doesn't guarantee tornadoes. This just means there could be ingredients for tornadoes. And this scale goes basically from 0 to 10. 0 means there's no chance of a tornado. As you get into some of these 0.5, 0.1s, those are low, what we call non-zero threats, but by 5 o'clock you could see some of the ingredients are there. But the storms aren't here yet. It just means the atmosphere. We have wind shear, updrafts, low-level wind speeds that are rotating a little bit. But as we get towards that line moving in, notice in the mountains in particular, Boone briefly peaks around a 2 or 3. And as we go through the evening hours, you see a couple spots spike close to 2. So on a scale from 0 to 10, a 2 is something to keep an eye on. That means, you've got maybe a 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of any one point. So this will be a trend we'll have to watch. And I'm just showing this is a model forecast, so this isn't going to be the gospel here. This is basically just showing you that there is some potential for rotating storms. And I showed you that squiggliness to the line. that would be probably the main reason we would see that. So the timing, again, I'll break it down for you. I love this graphic because it gets a lot of information out in a short area. You really see the timing of all this right in that 8 p.m. to midnight time frame, Saturday night into Sunday morning. And one last image I want to show you is something we call helicity tracks. They're basically where the model thinks there's going to be rotating storms. Again, this could be a tornado, but any rotating storm is going to be dangerous. It's going to have gusty winds and probably some potential to produce a tornado. And you can see these tracks of rotating storms shows a couple on the low end scale. These aren't really off the charts, and this is why I don't think the tornado threat's too bad. It's really down here. If I start seeing tracks in this color, then I'm worried. So these are just probably mid-level rotations, mesocyclones. But there's one in particular here that shows up around midnight, and it's a 1 hour track. So right in there on I-85, that actually gets up to the medium range. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't know if that'll verify, but that's like throwing darts here to see where these actual specific storms are going. But I thought I'd show it to you just so you got an idea on the possibility that a couple storms could rotate. I would say overall, the threat for damaging winds is much higher, and I'll show you my severe weather impact graphic again. I think the damaging wind threat is much higher, but I'd say there's maybe a 1 to 2% chance we could see an isolated tornado if the parameters all come together. So that's just a quick update on what I'm looking at tonight. Of course, I'll do another vlog tomorrow. I'm on tonight at 11. Make sure you grab the WCNC First Warn Weather app or our WCNC News app. There's 2 apps, by the way. The one that I like, and I don't know if you guys can see it, is the one in black and white there. I like this one right here because that's what it looks like. And the reason I like this one is it's got customizable warnings so you don't get overwarned. It only warns wherever your phone is. So the GPS location of your phone, if you're inside a warning polygon, you'll get an alert. If you're not, you won't get an alert. So I think it's a great app. Go find it in your iTunes or your Android marketplace and download it now. It's a great app. But I would get both because WCNC News app will actually stream us if we're on the air. So it's nice to have both. I actually have a WCNC folder I put them in. Have a great night, everybody. And, of course, stay tuned for updates and stay weather aware.